Around the world, governments have banned access to certain locations for reasons ranging from public safety to national security. Despite heavy fines, prison sentences, and even threats of deadly force, thousands of tourists ignore these restrictions every year. Some seek thrills, others chase social media fame, and many simply refuse to believe the danger is real. These are 20 places tourists are banned from, but still try to enter. Location. Number 1. North Sentinel Island, India. North Sentinel Island sits in the Bay of Bengal, home to one of the last uncontacted tribes on Earth. The Indian government has established a 3-mile exclusion zone around the island, making any attempt to visit illegal. Despite this, tourists and missionaries have tried to reach the shore with fatal consequences. In 2018, an American missionary was killed by the Sentinelese after illegally paying fishermen to take him to the island. The Sentinelese have violently rejected outside contact for centuries, attacking anyone who comes near their shores. They've remained isolated for an estimated 60,000 years and have no immunity to common diseases that could wipe out their entire population. Indian authorities enforced the ban not just to protect visitors, but to prevent the accidental genocide of the tribe through disease transmission. Violators face up to 3 years in prison under Indian law, yet the island continues to attract adventurers and social media seekers. Fishermen report frequent illegal attempts, with some tourists offering thousands of dollars for passage. The Indian Coast Guard regularly patrols the area, turning back boats and arresting those who venture too close. Even photographing the island from a distance requires special permission that's rarely granted. Location number 2. Poveglia Island, Italy. Poveglia Island lies in the Venetian lagoon between Venice and Lido, abandoned and rotting for over 50 years. The Italian government has banned all public access to the island due to structural instability and its dark history as a plague quarantine station and mental asylum. Over 160,000 plague victims were reportedly burned and buried on the island during multiple outbreaks. Despite the ban, urban explorers and paranormal enthusiasts regularly break in, crossing the lagoon by boat under cover of darkness. The crumbling buildings pose serious safety risks, with floors collapsing and exposed asbestos throughout the structures. The former psychiatric hospital, which operated until 1968, is particularly dangerous with its deteriorating bell tower that locals claim still rings despite having no bell. Italian police patrol the waters around Poveglia, but the island's isolation makes enforcement difficult. Trespassers who are caught face fines up to 3,000 euros and potential criminal charges for breaking and entering government property. The island's reputation as one of the most haunted places in the world drives continued illegal visits. Ghost hunting television shows have filmed there without permission, sparking increased interest from thrill seekers worldwide. In 2014, the Italian government attempted to lease the island for private development, but the plan fell through after public outcry. The island remains sealed off, slowly decaying while tourists continue to risk arrest for a glimpse of its abandoned asylum and mass burial grounds. Location number 3. Lascaux Caves, France. The Lascaux Caves in southwestern France contain some of the finest examples of Paleolithic art in the world, with paintings dating back 17,000 years. French authorities closed the caves to the public in 1963 after discovering that human breath and body heat were causing irreversible damage to the ancient artwork. Carbon dioxide, humidity, and microorganisms introduced by visitors created a green algae growth that threatened to destroy the paintings forever. Only a handful of researchers are granted access each year under strictly controlled conditions. Before the closure, over 1,200 visitors toured the caves daily, their presence raising temperatures and humidity levels that promoted fungal growth on the walls. Scientists now monitor the caves remotely using sensors and cameras to track environmental conditions without physical entry. The French Ministry of Culture maintains 24-hour security at the site, yet determined tourists still attempt to break in through sealed entrances. Those caught face criminal charges, for damaging national heritage sites, with penalties including prison sentences up to 7 years. A replica cave called Lascaux 2 opened nearby in 1983 to satisfy tourist demand, followed by Lascaux 4 in 2016 with even more advanced reproductions. Despite these alternatives, some visitors insist on seeing the original caves and attempt illegal entry several times per year. Underground motion sensors and cameras alert authorities to intrusions, typically resulting in immediate arrest. The original caves remain one of France's most protected archaeological sites, with no plans to ever reopen them to general tourism. Location number 4. Snake Island, Brazil. Snake Island lies 90 miles off the coast of São Paulo, Brazil, and holds the highest concentration of venomous snakes anywhere on Earth. The Brazilian Navy has banned all civilian access to the island, which is home to an estimated 4,000 golden lancehead vipers. These snakes evolved in isolation and developed venom up to 5 times more potent than their mainland relatives. Their bite causes kidney failure, muscle tissue death, and brain hemorrhaging, with mortality rates near 90% without immediate treatment. The golden lancehead exists nowhere else on Earth and is critically endangered, making the island ecologically significant despite its dangers. Scientists estimate one snake lives on every square meter of the island's terrain, making it virtually impossible to walk without encountering multiple vipers. The Brazilian government grants research permits to a small number of herpetologists each year, always accompanied by Navy personnel and medical staff. Illegal visitors have died on the island, though exact numbers remain classified by Brazilian authorities to discourage further attempts. Wildlife smugglers and snake collectors offer tens of thousands of dollars on the black market for golden lanceheads, driving illegal landing attempts. The Brazilian Navy patrols the waters constantly, maintaining a lighthouse on the island that was automated in the 1920s after the lighthouse keeper and his family were killed by snakes. Social media posts from thrill seekers claiming to have visited the island have prompted investigations and arrests. The only humans legally allowed on Snake Island are authorized researchers who must carry antivenom and wear protective gear during their brief, supervised visits. Location number 5. Surtsey Island, Iceland. Surtsey emerged from the Atlantic Ocean in 1963 during a volcanic eruption that lasted nearly 4 years, creating Iceland's newest island. The Icelandic government immediately declared it a nature reserve, banning all unauthorized visitors to preserve it as a natural laboratory for studying ecosystem development. Scientists monitor how life colonizes barren volcanic rock without human interference, making Surtsey one of the world's most pristine natural experiments. Only a handful of researchers receive permits annually, and they must sterilize their boots and equipment before landing. The island represents a unique opportunity to observe primary succession from the very beginning. With every plant seed and bird species arrival documented since 1963, human contamination could introduce non-native species that would compromise decades of scientific data. In 2004, researchers discovered a tomato plant growing on Surtsey, traced back to a scientist who defecated on the island, proving how easily human presence disrupts the natural process. The plant was immediately removed, and protocols became even stricter. Tour boats circle Surtsey regularly, bringing tourists close enough to photograph, but never close enough to land. Despite warnings, some tourists have paid boat captains to drop them on the shore, resulting in criminal prosecutions and banned lifetime bans from Iceland's nature reserves. The island continues to erode and shrink, having lost nearly a third of its original size since 1963. Scientists predict Surtsey will eventually disappear beneath the waves, but until then, it remains one of the world's most protected and scientifically valuable locations, with violators facing fines up to $10,000. Location number 6, Area 51, Nevada, USA. Area 51 is a highly classified U.S. Air Force facility located in the Nevada desert, officially known as Groom Lake or Homey Airport. The US government didn't acknowledge its existence until 2013, though it had operated since 1955 as a testing site for experimental aircraft and weapon systems. The base is surrounded by restricted airspace, and unauthorized entry is a federal offense punishable by fines and imprisonment. Warning signs around the perimeter state that use of deadly force is authorized against intruders. Armed security guards, motion sensors, and surveillance cameras monitor every approach to the facility. Despite these measures, tourists and UFO enthusiasts regularly attempt to breach the perimeter, with some getting arrested weekly during peak seasons. The base's association with UFO conspiracy theories drives much of the illegal activity, with visitors hoping to uncover evidence of alien technology. In 2019, a viral Facebook event called Storm Area 51 prompted over 2 million people to pledge to see them aliens, forcing local law enforcement to prepare for potential mass trespassing. The nearby town of Rachel, Nevada, has become a tourist destination for Area 51 seekers, with visitors photographing warning signs and testing how close they can get before security responds. Trespassers are typically detained by private security contractors known as camo dudes, who patrol in white trucks. Those caught face federal charges, fines starting at $1,000 and up to a year in prison for first-time offenses. The Air Force maintains that Area 51 is simply a testing facility for classified aircraft, but the mystique continues to draw rule breakers from around the world. Location number 7, Heard Island, Australia. Heard Island sits 4,000 kilometers southwest of Perth in the southern Indian Ocean, making it one of the most remote places on Earth. The Australian government has declared it a nature reserve with strict access restrictions, allowing only authorized scientific research teams to visit. The island features an active volcano called Mawson Peak that last erupted in 2016, along with glaciers covering 80% of its surface. Harsh weather conditions make landing extremely difficult, with successful approaches possible only a few days each year. The island serves as a crucial breeding ground for millions of penguins, seals, and seabirds that have never been exposed to land predators or human diseases. Scientists study the pristine ecosystem to understand climate change impacts without the complication of human interference. Any unauthorized visit could introduce invasive species, rats, diseases, or seeds on clothing and equipment that would devastate the delicate ecosystem. The nearest human settlement is over 4,000 kilometers away, and rescue operations are nearly impossible due to the extreme isolation and violent seas. Despite the challenges, illegal expedition attempts occur every few years, typically organized by wealthy adventure tourists seeking to claim they visited one of the world's most inaccessible locations. The Australian government monitors the island via satellite and investigates any unauthorized vessels in the area. Violators face massive fines under the Environment Protection and Biodiversity Conservation Act, with penalties reaching $500,000 for unauthorized landings. The few research teams permitted to visit must apply years in advance, undergo extensive environmental training, and limit their stay to essential scientific work only. Location number 8, Chernobyl Exclusion Zone, Inner Core, Ukraine. The Chernobyl Exclusion Zone extends 30 kilometers around the 1986 nuclear disaster site, with an inner 10-kilometer zone remaining strictly off-limits to all except authorized personnel. While controlled tours operate in the outer zone, the inner core, containing the most contaminated areas, is permanently banned to tourists. Radiation levels in certain locations still exceed 50,000 times the normal background radiation, causing acute radiation sickness within minutes of exposure. The Red Forest, where trees turned red and died after absorbing massive radiation doses, remains deadly nearly 40 years later. Ukrainian authorities have established checkpoints and patrol the inner zone to prevent illegal entry, but stalkers, urban explorers who sneak into forbidden areas, regularly bypass security. These trespassers risk radiation poisoning for the thrill of exploring abandoned buildings and taking photos of areas tourists never see. Some have been hospitalized with radiation sickness after spending just hours in highly contaminated sections. The zone's security has weakened since the 2022 Russian invasion, making illegal access easier but exponentially more dangerous due to disturbed soil releasing radioactive particles. The new safe confinement structure covering the destroyed reactor allows only credentialed nuclear specialists inside, yet tourists have attempted to bribe guards for access. Radiation hotspots move and change as materials decay and weather erodes structures, making maps unreliable for safety planning. Some stalkers wear dosimeters to monitor exposure, but these provide no protection against inhaling radioactive dust particles that cause internal contamination. Those caught face criminal charges and potential lifetime health monitoring, though many continue to post their illegal explorations online, inspiring copycat attempts. Location number 9. Tomb of Qin Shi Huang, China. The tomb of China's first emperor, Qin Shi Huang, sits beneath a massive earthen pyramid near Xi'an, guarded by the famous terracotta army. Chinese authorities have never opened the main burial chamber and have banned all excavation attempts to preserve the tomb's contents. Ancient texts describe the tomb's interior as containing rivers of mercury, crossbow traps, and priceless artifacts buried with the emperor in 210 BCE. Modern testing has confirmed dangerous mercury vapor concentrations in the soil above the tomb, making excavation hazardous even with current technology. The Chinese government fears that opening the tomb could damage or destroy artifacts that have survived 2,200 years in sealed conditions. Exposure to air and humidity could cause rapid deterioration, similar to problems encountered when opening other ancient tombs. The site remains under constant surveillance, with security preventing any unauthorized digging or ground-penetrating radar surveys. Several archaeologists and treasure hunters have proposed excavation plans over the decades, all rejected by authorities who insist the tomb will remain sealed until preservation technology improves. The surrounding area, including the terracotta warriors, is open to tourists, but the actual tomb mound is strictly off-limits and surrounded by barriers. Some visitors have attempted to climb the pyramid or dig at its base, resulting in arrests and lifetime bans from the archaeological site. Chinese law protects the tomb as a crucial cultural heritage site, with violators facing up to 10 years in prison for attempted excavation. The emperor's burial chamber holds secrets that may never be revealed, with Chinese officials stating that opening it remains forbidden for the foreseeable future. Location number 10. Chapel of the Ark of the Covenant, Ethiopia. The Chapel of the Ark of the Covenant in Aksum, Ethiopia, allegedly houses the biblical ark containing the 10 Commandments. According to Ethiopian Orthodox tradition, the ark has been guarded in this chapel for over 2,000 years by a single monk who is chosen for life. Only this guardian monk is permitted to see the ark, with all others, including the Ethiopian patriarch and government officials, forbidden from entering. The monk never leaves the chapel grounds and is replaced only upon his death by a successor he personally selects. The Ethiopian Orthodox Church maintains absolute secrecy about what's actually inside the chapel, refusing all requests for verification or scientific study. No photographs exist of the alleged ark, and the guardian monk is forbidden from describing it to outsiders. This secrecy has made the chapel one of the world's most intriguing religious mysteries, attracting believers and skeptics who attempt to breach the compound. Armed guards and high walls surround the chapel, with local authorities treating any trespassing attempt as a serious religious offense. Tourists can visit the old chapel nearby where the ark was supposedly kept before 1965, but the current chapel remains completely sealed to the public. Several Western archaeologists and documentary filmmakers have offered substantial sums for just a glimpse inside, all refused without exception. Those caught attempting to enter the compound face arrest by Ethiopian police and potential mob violence from outraged locals who consider the chapel sacred. Whether the Ark of the Covenant truly resides in Aksum remains unknown, with the Ethiopian Orthodox Church insisting the mystery is not theirs to solve or share with the outside world. Some tourists ignore these bans because they believe rules don't apply to them. Bhangar Fort, India. Bhangar Fort in Rajasthan, India, carries an official government ban on entry between sunset and sunrise. The Archaeological Survey of India has posted signs at every entrance prohibiting nighttime access, making it the only legally haunted place in India with enforced visiting hours. Local legends claim a curse was placed on the fort in the 1600s, dooming its inhabitants and making it dangerous after dark. Despite no confirmed deaths or supernatural evidence, the ban remains in effect and violators face arrest. The fort was abandoned in 1783 after being sacked by invaders, and locals refused to live anywhere near the ruins. Stories of ghost sightings, strange sounds, and missing persons have circulated for generations, though no documented evidence supports these claims. The nighttime ban was officially implemented for safety reasons due to wild animals in the area, but the government acknowledges the curse legend in its signage. This official recognition of supernatural danger is unprecedented for a government agency and has made Bhangar a major tourist attraction. Thousands of tourists visit during permitted daytime hours, but many attempt to stay past closing time to experience the allegedly haunted atmosphere. Security guards patrol the fort at dusk, removing stragglers and locking the gates. Those who hide to remain overnight are typically caught by morning patrols and charged with trespassing. Despite the ban, YouTube is filled with videos of nighttime explorations, with some visitors claiming paranormal experiences, while others dismiss it as superstition. The Indian government shows no signs of lifting the nighttime restriction, keeping Bhangar's curse officially recognized and legally enforced. Ise Grand Shrine, Japan. The Ise Grand Shrine in Japan is the most sacred site in Shinto religion, yet no one except the imperial family and head priests can enter the innermost sanctum. The shrine is completely rebuilt every 20 years using traditional techniques, a practice maintained for over 1,300 years. High wooden fences surround the main buildings, with the public allowed only to approach the outer gates. The practice keeps the carpentry knowledge alive while symbolizing Shinto beliefs about death and renewal. Photography of the inner shrine is strictly forbidden, and guards ensure tourists remain behind barriers at all times. The shrine allegedly contains the sacred mirror Yada no Kagami, one of 3 imperial regalia of Japan that validate the emperor's divine right to rule. No one outside the imperial family and highest-ranking priests has seen these objects in modern times. Even the emperor must request permission for private worship at the inner sanctum, with most ceremonies conducted from the outer areas. Foreign dignitaries and scholars have requested access for decades, all denied without exception. The shrine's mystery is considered essential to maintaining its sacred nature and protecting Japan's most important religious objects. Tourists who attempt to breach the fences or photograph restricted areas face immediate ejection and potential arrest for disrespecting a national cultural property. The reconstruction ceremony every 20 years draws massive crowds, but even then, the actual inner shrine remains hidden behind white silk curtains. The contents and appearance of the innermost sanctuary remain among Japan's most closely guarded secrets. Morgan Island, South Carolina, USA. Morgan Island off the coast of South Carolina is home to approximately 4,000 rhesus macaque monkeys and is completely closed to public access. The monkeys were relocated to the island in 1979 from a research facility in Puerto Rico after a herpes B outbreak made them too dangerous to keep near human populations. The state of South Carolina leases the island to the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases for medical research. The monkeys carry herpes B virus, which is harmless to them, but can be fatal to humans who are bitten or scratched. The disease spreads through monkey saliva and bodily fluids, with a 70% mortality rate in untreated humans who contract it. Signs around the island warn that trespassing is a federal offense and that the monkeys are dangerous. Despite this, boaters regularly approach the shores to photograph the monkeys, with some tourists attempting to land for closer looks. The monkeys have become aggressive toward humans after decades of isolation, attacking anyone who gets too close to their territory. Federal rangers patrol the waters around Morgan Island, issuing citations to anyone who violates the 500-foot exclusion zone. The monkeys serve an important medical purpose, with researchers studying them for vaccine development and disease research. Each year, approximately 500 monkeys are captured and sold to laboratories worldwide for biomedical testing. Those caught landing on the island face federal trespassing charges, potential exposure to herpes B virus, and aggressive attacks from territorial monkey colonies that have learned to see humans as threats. The island's nickname, Monkey Island, has made it a social media curiosity, but authorities emphasize that any visit could be deadly. Vatican's Secret Archives, Vatican City. The Vatican's Secret Archives contain 85 kilometers of shelving holding 35,000 volumes of records dating back over 1,000 years. Despite the name, the archives were never truly secret, with the Latin term secretum meaning private or personal rather than concealed. The archives were renamed Vatican Apostolic Archives in 2019 to reduce confusion, but public access remains severely restricted. Only accredited scholars with specific research proposals are granted entry, and they must request individual documents rather than browsing freely. The archives contain papal correspondence, state papers, account books, and records of trials, including Galileo's heresy conviction. Researchers cannot enter the stacks and must wait for librarians to retrieve requested documents, with some taking hours or days to locate. Photography is prohibited, and researchers may only view documents in supervised reading rooms. The selection process for accessing the archives is rigorous, with the Vatican rejecting most applications and limiting approved scholars to specific research areas. Conspiracy theories about hidden gospels, evidence of aliens, or proof of historical cover-ups drive public fascination with the archives. The Vatican maintains that restrictions exist to protect fragile historical documents from damage, not to hide information. In 2012, the Vatican released some documents from Pope Pius XII's papacy, but millions of pages remain restricted to all but the most credentialed researchers. Those caught attempting unauthorized access face prosecution under Vatican City law and permanent blacklisting from Vatican research facilities. The archives continue to release selected documents periodically, but complete public access will likely never be granted due to preservation concerns and the sheer volume of material requiring cataloging and digitization. Niihau, Hawaii, USA. Niihau is a privately owned Hawaiian island where entry is forbidden without explicit invitation from the island's owners, the Robinson family. The island has been privately held since 1864, when Elizabeth Sinclair purchased it from King Kamehameha V for $10,000. Approximately 170 native Hawaiians live on Niihau, speaking Hawaiian as their primary language and maintaining traditional lifestyles, without modern conveniences like internet or paved roads. The Robinson family enforces the no-visitor policy to preserve native Hawaiian culture from outside influence. The island operates without electricity from power lines, running water systems, or stores, with residents living much as their ancestors did centuries ago. No one can visit without a personal invitation from a resident or permission from the Robinson family, which is almost never granted. The U.S. military uses the uninhabited southern portion of the island for training exercises and weapons testing, making those areas even more restricted. Helicopter tours fly over Niihau but cannot land, and boats that approach the shore are turned away by residents. The isolation has preserved the Hawaiian language and culture in ways impossible elsewhere in the state, making Niihau culturally significant despite its small population. Some native Hawaiians argue the island should be opened for cultural education, while others support continued restriction to prevent commercialization. the Robinson family has rejected numerous purchase offers, including one from the US government during World War II. Those who land on Niihau without permission are escorted off the island and reported to authorities. The island's complete isolation from tourism and modernization makes it perhaps the most restricted privately owned territory in the United States. Pripyat, Ukraine. High radiation zones. Pripyat was evacuated 36 hours after the Chernobyl disaster in 1986, and while controlled tours now operate in parts of the abandoned city, many areas remain strictly off-limits due to lethal radiation levels. The city's hospital basement, where first responders' contaminated clothing was discarded, registers radiation levels that would deliver a fatal dose within minutes. The area around the destroyed reactor remains highly contaminated, with radiation levels fluctuating as structures collapse and expose new radioactive materials. Tour operators are licensed to take visitors through approved routes only, but some tourists pay guides to access forbidden areas for dramatic photos. These restricted zones include collapsed buildings, underground spaces, and areas where radioactive debris fell after the explosion. Radiation doesn't diminish in a predictable pattern, creating invisible hotspots where brief exposure can cause serious health effects. Some locations appear safe, but contain enough radiation to exceed annual safe limits in seconds. The Ukrainian government has prosecuted multiple tour operators for taking visitors into prohibited areas, revoking licenses, and imposing heavy fines. Tourists who enter restricted zones risk not just their own health, but the viability of legitimate tours by demonstrating insufficient control over visitor movements. Some stalkers remain in forbidden zones for hours or days, accumulating dangerous radiation doses while filming content for social media. International nuclear safety organizations have called for stricter enforcement after several visitors required medical treatment for radiation exposure. The most contaminated sections of Pripyat will remain deadly for thousands of years, yet they continue to attract risk-takers who underestimate invisible dangers. Darvaza Gas Crater, Turkmenistan. The Darvaza gas crater in Turkmenistan's Karakum Desert has burned continuously since 1971, when Soviet engineers set fire to a collapsed natural gas drilling site. The crater measures 70 meters across and has been nicknamed the Door to Hell for its constant flames and glowing appearance. In 2022, the Turkmen government officially banned tourism to the crater and announced plans to extinguish the fire, declaring the area off-limits for safety and environmental reasons. The flames consume approximately 4 million cubic meters of natural gas annually, representing significant financial loss. The crater sits in a remote desert location, requiring four-wheel drive vehicles to reach, but tourists have been camping beside it for decades, despite the lack of facilities or safety barriers. The edge of the crater is unstable, with soil collapsing periodically and expanding the hole. Several tourists have reported near falls when ground gave way beneath them, and the intense heat makes close approach dangerous. Turkmenistan issued the ban partly due to tourist injuries and partly to stop the waste of valuable natural gas resources. The government's extinguishing plan has been delayed repeatedly, keeping the crater burning while security forces patrol to prevent tourist access. Those caught visiting the site face fines, deportation, and equipment confiscation, including vehicles and cameras. Despite the ban, tour operators in neighboring Uzbekistan still organize illegal trips, dropping tourists near the crater at night and leaving before dawn to avoid patrols. The crater has become more popular since the ban was announced, with visitors rushing to see it before it's potentially extinguished. The Turkmen government remains serious about restricting access, but the remote location makes consistent enforcement nearly impossible. Room 39, North Korea. Room 39 is a secretive North Korean organization allegedly responsible for generating illegal revenue for the ruling Kim family through counterfeiting, drug trafficking, and smuggling operations. The organization operates from a building in Pyongyang that is completely off-limits to foreign visitors and most North Korean citizens. While tourists are allowed to visit North Korea on heavily controlled tours, any attempt to approach or photograph buildings associated with Room 39 results in immediate detention. The existence of Room 39 is acknowledged by defectors and intelligence agencies, but North Korea denies its operations. Foreign journalists and investigators have attempted to document Room 39's activities, but anyone asking questions about it faces immediate surveillance and potential arrest. The organization allegedly generates between $500 million and $1 billion annually through illegal activities conducted at multiple sites across North Korea. These locations are among the country's most heavily guarded, with security protocols exceeding even those at nuclear facilities. No Westerner has ever been allowed near these sites, and North Korean citizens caught discussing them face severe punishment. The few tourists allowed into North Korea follow pre-approved routes under constant supervision, with photography restricted to specific locations. Anyone attempting to deviate from the tour or photograph restricted buildings faces confiscation of materials, deportation, and potential criminal charges. Several foreign visitors have been detained for months or years after attempting to access restricted areas or taking unauthorized photographs. Room 39 facilities remain among the world's most inaccessible locations, protected not just by physical security, but by a regime that responds to curiosity with imprisonment. The organization's operations and locations are state secrets, with even most government officials forbidden from knowing details. Gangkhar Puensum, Bhutan. Gangkhar Puensum is the world's highest unclimbed mountain at 7,570 meters, and the government of Bhutan has banned all mountaineering on it since 2003. The ban came after the Bhutanese government prohibited climbing any peak above 6,000 meters out of respect for spiritual beliefs that mountains are sacred dwelling places of deities. Local religious leaders successfully lobbied for the ban, arguing that allowing climbers would anger mountain spirits and bring disasters to Bhutan. The law applies to both foreigners and Bhutanese citizens, with no exceptions granted. Several international climbing expeditions attempted Gangkhar Puensum before the ban, with all failing to reach the summit due to extreme weather, technical difficulty, and poor mapping of the remote region. The mountain straddles Bhutan's border with China, creating additional jurisdictional complications for any potential climb. China technically allows climbing from its side, but the remoteness and political sensitivity make organizing an expedition nearly impossible. Bhutan has shown no indication of lifting the ban, despite pressure from the international mountaineering community. The permanent climbing ban makes Gangkhar Puensum unique, the only major peak that will likely remain unclimbed indefinitely due to government prohibition, rather than technical impossibility. Some mountaineers have considered illegal attempts from the Chinese side, but the risk of international incident and respect for Bhutanese religious beliefs have prevented serious efforts. Bhutan's tourism industry emphasizes spiritual and cultural experiences over adventure sports, and the government views the climbing ban as essential to preserving national values. Any future attempt to climb Gangkhar Puensum would require Bhutan to overturn laws rooted in deeply held religious convictions, making the mountain's summit perhaps permanently out of reach. Fort Knox Gold Vault, Kentucky, USA. The United States Bullion Depository at Fort Knox holds approximately 147.3 million ounces of gold, worth over $290 billion. The vault is one of the most secure facilities in the world, protected by armed guards, electric fences, concrete-lined walls, and a blast-proof door weighing 20 tons. No visitors are allowed inside the vault under any circumstances, with members of Congress and sitting presidents typically denied access. The last official audit allowing outside observers occurred in 1974, and since then, the vault has remained completely closed to everyone except authorized Mint employees and security personnel. The gold is stored in bar form on pallets stacked in compartments, with each bar weighing approximately 400 troy ounces. The building containing the vault sits within Fort Knox military installation adding military security to the already formidable defenses. The vault itself is surrounded by a security box within the building, with multiple barriers between the exterior walls and the gold storage area. Security measures include armed guards authorized to use deadly force, advanced alarm systems, and rumored defenses that remain classified. Conspiracy theories about the vault's contents drive requests for tours and audits, with some claiming the gold has been secretly moved or sold. The U.S. Treasury Department has consistently refused these requests, maintaining that security concerns override transparency demands. Fort Knox has become synonymous with impenetrability, and the government has no intention of allowing visits that could reveal security vulnerabilities. The vault appears in numerous movies and television shows, but these depictions are entirely fictional, since no photographs or detailed descriptions of the interior exist. The actual vault will almost certainly never be open to tourists, making the Fort Knox gold one of America's most heavily guarded and inaccessible treasures. Some tourists ignore these bans because they believe rules don't apply to them, while others genuinely don't understand the consequences. Whether it's sacred sites, dangerous wildlife, or government secrets, forbidden places attract exactly the people who shouldn't be there. If you enjoyed this video and want to learn more beyond belief facts, click on the video appearing on your screen now and remember to hit the subscribe button.